Good morning, everyone. What do we have coming spring of 2024? Well, I can tell you one thing. After a few weeks, they will die. Also in masses, leaving behind a smelly mess of eggs. And that's going to be the next generation. We're going to see something that we haven't seen. Well, we've never seen it. Going way back to like 200 years. So yeah, you heard that. Hasn't been seen since 1803. Thomas Jefferson was president, actually. Billions, people, billions. And I'm going to show you a map. Yeah, so that map is going to be the main underground post where these things are going to be emerging to live among us, each one for about a few weeks. So this could be longer because they won't maybe all come out at once. But when they're out, you're going to see billions. That map, good thing they don't travel too far from where they emerge from, but there's some interesting things and some concerning things about this phenomenon. So, you ready? Before I get to this, you may hear about certain things from the Bible that certain people may think that are happening. This is not the case. People will confuse this, and it will drive those people. Okay, so I'll tell you why in a sec. All right, so starting this spring in May and June, there's something that has a 13-year and 17-year broods that will emerge from underground this spring and will be appearing together for the first time in 221 years. Okay, so this happens, but this is the first time in 221 years that both are going to be emerging together at once, which is also going to make for something else. All right, so billions of cicadas, not to be confused with locust, okay? People are going to go biblical here and they're going to think that they're locust. They're not. Locusts feed on plantation. They will wipe out crops. Cicadas do not. Cicadas, however, in normal circumstances, cicadas can take out a small tree, okay, as they feed upon the liquids of the roots of trees and other plants. However, they're not going to wipe out crops for miles and miles like locusts would, okay? So cicadas are, I haven't fully researched this part yet, but they are harmless to humans, harmless. But in the billions, feeding upon the roots of trees and other plants, that could be a problem for these areas and surrounding areas. They don't travel far. However, when they do travel, in 13 to 17 years, we're going to find out something else that's going to happen. But you won't see this again to get both of these broods together. The XIII and the XIX. Okay? That is, they represent all 7 of the cicada species. So, yeah. So we'll find out in 13 and 17 years what we're looking at going ahead. and I'll tell you why. It's going to be loud. It's going to be real loud, people, real loud. We have them sometimes on our pine trees, and the iridescent wings, they're so cool looking. They look like overgrown, really cool looking giant flies to me. And my daughter Allie and I would watch these, and once their wings were dry from the tree, they would fly around, and of course they buzz. They have this loud buzz, and that's a mating thing. They only live about a few weeks, but in those few weeks, they're going to be eating and mating. So you take 2 different species that make up the 7 different species of the cicadas, and the 2 different species are going to mate. And we're not going to know what's going to happen from these 2 species mating for 13 and 17 years. So any pair of broods may occasionally overlap and emerge in the same year, but this specific group, brood XIII, also known as the Northern Illinois brood, and brood XIX, or the Great Southern brood, only appears simultaneously once every 221 years, making up this 2024, an especially exciting period for entomologists and I'm just going to say bug people, people who like bugs, like my daughter. This brood will align again in 2245. Pretty cool, huh? Yeah, so again, we'll show you the map. Okay, so this is where things get a little bit more interesting. All told, scientists estimate more than 1 trillion cicadas, not billion, not millions, trillion, will be buzzing around a 16-state area, with the greatest numbers emerging in forested regions and urban green spaces. Lined up end to end, 1 trillion cicadas will span 15,782,828 miles long, enough to cover the distance to the moon and back 33 times. That's what we're looking at for May and June of 2024. Yep. So if you have young trees like apple trees, peach trees, so on, whatever kind of trees, whatever kind of plants that have tree-like type roots, anything really, because they feed off roots of plants. You're going to want to be aware of this to protect those plants for food. Yep, because it's going to create that. That's why this is concerning to me, because we grow food. So cicadas typically appear above ground once the soil reaches 64 degrees. So they're going to come up and up and up, but they won't come up off the surface until, obviously surfaces in most places are going to be still frozen, so they won't be able to emerge. But once it's 64 degrees, in some places that could occur as early as April. But we're looking for this, a rolling out basis through May and June for everyone in the United States. So once they crawl out into the surface, the nymphs will ditch their exoskeletons, leaving a crunchy cicada-shaped shells. So they're going to be all over the place. And in the start of this talk, I wrote something down here, and I'm going to repeat it again. After a few weeks, they will die in the masses, leaving behind a smelly mess and billions, and now we're talking like 1 trillion, of eggs containing the next generation. And it's going to be smelly. Smelly bugs. So in the meantime, it's of course going to provide a smorgasbord for the birds. So they're going to be happy and give caterpillars a brief respite from the other predators that feed upon all these bugs. So, yeah, so they tunnel underground and they start their broods and cycle. And this rare synchronized event should be finished by early July. Okay? It's going to be loud. If any of you are familiar with cicada bugs, they just buzz in the trees and wherever they are. And it's like high pitched and it's just super, super loud. Just one. Now, you take one and you add hundreds, thousands, millions, trillion of these things in a widespread area. And this is widespread. You just heard me say. So the songs of one cicada, when they're mating, can reach 100 decibels. Get out your earplugs, people, because you're going to need them. Which is similar to the sound of a chainsaw, constant chainsaw at a high pitch, 100 decibels. Or like a motorcycle. You ever have like a neighbor or be outside of a store, outside, and you just hear this constant brrr, You're gonna have to do something to drown out that sound, and be at rest and know that for whatever reason this is happening, which it's gonna again and again and again every couple 100+ years, which we're only gonna ever see once in our lifetime, you're gonna have to find a way to get through this. Yeah. So there's entomologists all over this right now, and I will show you some pictures of these things. Now remember, these are two broods, XIX and XIII, that represent the 7 cicadas, 7 types. So let me see here. I got something from, so this article, I will put it in the bottom of the description of this video, so you can go and read the whole thing. The Smithsonian put it out, the Washington Post put it out, many people have put this out, even Fox, even CNN, everyone's putting this out. So of course they talk about this too, about it being a lunar year. Did you also know we're going to have a, I don't remember if it was it's some kind of eclipse. It's a certain eclipse that's also going to happen right before these cicadas emerge. I found that very, very interesting. Okay, so most cicada species come out of every year, okay? Because of the way that their cycles run, we get some every year, but not in the masses like this is going to happen. And you guys may remember 2021, Washington, D.C. had an emergence of all these bugs, and they had to go out and they were spraying and everything else, which is ridiculous because these things emerge, last few weeks, and then they go back underground after they've mated and they lay their brood to come back out in 13, 17 years, whatever. So, but this is always happening, so some come out every year. But not like you'll see a couple or a few, or you'll hear a little bit of a loud for a few weeks and then they're gone. But like I said, these 2 species are coming out in the masses. So, I can't wait to see what people are going to be doing, because it's just going to be a few weeks, and that's going to be a long time, especially with the sound of like chainsaw, motorcycle, cicadas. I can just vroom, vroom, with their wings flapping. All right, this is getting weird. That didn't take long. So the cicadas are a family of insects called magic cicada. That's weird, right? They differ from other insects in that both the nymphs and adults have a beak that they use to drink plant fluid. Adults have 2 sets of wings. Cicadas are not locusts, okay? Just be aware of what you're going to see out there. You're going to see all kinds of headlines, all kinds of stuff about biblical times and these locusts. And I mean, I'm just putting that out there. I'm telling you here today, breathe, and it's okay, because that's not happening, all right? There are more than 190 known species of cicadas in North America alone, and 3,390 of them around the world. So these two species are of 7 periodical, I can't even talk today, cicadas. Scientists do say you shouldn't kill cicadas. You can take a net and just kind of remove them. You can net your plants, but they do burrow. So they eat the roots of your plants. I mean, when it comes to your food, I'll just leave it there. So, the relative of the, let's see, well, we're not going to get into murder hornets. Remember murder hornets? They're really, really large too. Oh, by the way, cicadas are like, I'm just going to take a pen. I've seen them as big as that, but most of the time they're around there. So a couple inches. Yeah, so I don't know. I just don't know. So the periodical, I cannot talk today. Periodical cicadas emerge from underground every 13 to 17 years. And they do so simultaneously. I don't know why that is. Once the males mate above ground, they die. After females lay their eggs, usually in small slits, they carve into tree branches. They also die. So every 13-year-old cicada emerges from underground, and that's what happens. And it's a massive portion this time to the next generation, which we will not see what these two broods, XIII and XIX, are going to make for 13 and 17 years. That's going to be pretty spectacular. A female can lay 400 to 600 eggs in a lifetime. The egg will hatch in late July to early August, and then the cicada fall to the ground immediately and burrow underground. So you'll also maybe see that, like at the bases of your trees or in the little cracks, you can maybe see that happen. That would be pretty cool. And if you catch that, take pictures or record that, because that's pretty cool. Yeah. So they will hatch, and then they'll immediately go underground for 13 and 17 years. So where will they emerge in 2024? Well, I just showed you the map, but brood XIX is expected to emerge in the spring of 2024 in Alabama, Arkansas, Georgia, Illinois, Indiana, Kentucky, Louisiana, Missouri, Mississippi, North Carolina, South Carolina, Oklahoma, Tennessee, and Virginia. Now, there are some spots outside of there where they will be in smaller packages, but they are going to be abroad outside of this, but not too much, because, again, the cicadas do not travel far from where they emerge from. Okay, so in Iowa, Wisconsin, Illinois, Indiana, and possibly Michigan, cicada mania says the last time this brood emerged was in 2007, though the AP reports say they emerged in 2021. So they're going to be mid-May when the soil gets warm enough, but as early as April, and stay through late June. But by the time they're done, it could be July by the time you stop hearing those sounds. Again, 100 decibels, 100. Yep, so I will show pictures of a cicada. The pictures don't really do the cicada any justice. The ones that we see are actually, like I said, they're like giant flies. They look like giant flies to me, like Jurassic flies, and they have iridescent wings. So a lot of those pictures and stuff do not, but you'll get the gist of what they look like if you don't know what they look like. But many of us have heard cicadas. They're super loud. They're super loud. And that's the noise they make when they're starting to mate. So some people say up to 105 decibels. But then if you got billions or thousands or even hundreds or a few all at the same time, when the females are interested, you know, and they twitch their little wings and that's how they make this noise, that's going to be really, really loud, people. So yeah, that's what we're looking at for as soon as April, but definitely in May and June into July. That's what we're going to be dealing with here in the US. I did notice some spots possibly in lower parts of New York, but again, that was not listed, so I don't know if we're going to see or hear this. I'm going to ask you guys because I am super interested. My daughter Allie and I are oddly interested in like insects. They also, as the older I get though, they're starting to really creep me out. I get the like the heebie-jeebies from them. But I will touch them. But then I kind of like, I get freaked out now. So like I'll do it so long and it's like, ugh. If you guys see this, please take the time to take pictures and or video and either email them to me and I will show them here. And if you don't want your name attached, that's fine. But if you do, I'll say this video is from this person, this video is from that person. I thought that would be really, really fun. Yeah, and plus it kind of shows some history because it's going to be a long time since we've seen, well, no one in this lifetime has ever seen them. But it's going to be a long time before anyone sees these again. So this could be like, you know, like a diary of what happened in 2024 for generations to come to go back and look at. So I thought that would be kind of cool. All right, well, y'all have a great day. Remember, be prepared. Don't stress about it because it's, you know, like, it's going to be fine. It's going to be over in a few weeks. And of course, there'll be, I mean, that 4 weeks, I think, and longer, a little bit longer than that, or even shorter, it's going to be like, wow. But of course, you're always going to hear the occasional ones. And you're always going to hear them every year, just not in the abundance. It's going to be between early as April to July. But really, May and June is what we're concentrating on. So yeah, I don't know. It's concerning and it's exciting. I'm concerned about our plants, our trees, especially the areas that these are they're coming out of the ground in these areas. I'm concerned about people's trees, and you should be too. So that is a concern. They can wipe out small young trees or trees that aren't that strong because they do eat the fluids from the roots of plants. And it's not just trees, but mainly trees. Okay. All right. I love you guys. This is concerning, like I said, but it's also very, very exciting. And I want you to let me know what's going on in your area when this happens. And yeah, so have a great day. God bless in Jesus' name.